Welcome to Personal Development Mastery Podcast, where you will find both the inspiration to grow and the actions to implement towards your next level. I am your host, Agi Keramidas, and I've been on a journey of personal development and self-mastery for 6 years now, and my mission is to inspire you to stand out and take action towards living your best life. In this podcast, I invite myself inside the minds of authors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, exceptional people who will inspire you to improve your life and also give you actions you can take and implement. So, on my ongoing journey of the podcast, on Thursday's episodes, I now focus on consolidation. Repetition is the mother of all learning, as they say. So instead of adding more knowledge, I revisit the previous episodes and consolidate the wisdom imparted by my guests. In this episode today, I will continue a topic which I started in episode 203. And that's because many people can relate to it, and probably you can too. Purpose. Living purposefully. Have you ever wondered about your purpose or spent time trying to figure it out? I know I have. However, in the topic of purpose today, I will add in a couple of twists, like how our passion relates to our purpose, or the importance of our purpose, and even understanding when the time comes to follow that path. So today I will revisit 3 older episodes and share the wisdom of my 3 guests, Dhru Shah, Cornell Thomas and Sarah Watts. And the first one we will listen to is Dhru Shah, who was featured on episode 94. Dhru is the founder of Dentinal Tubules, the largest online community sharing education and knowledge between dentists. And Dhru had his own journey of losing his passion in life and having to ignite it again. And, often we say that our passion is our fire. And Dhru started asking the question, if passion is our fire, where does the first spark come from?
Passion is a fire, right? Passion is a fire burning inside you. But no fire happens without a spark. And the key journey about me has been about trying to figure out where the hell does a spark come from. And I think that's the biggest breakthrough. It has probably taken me 42 years, and perhaps it was the latter end of last year that I figured out my spark. And that's the interesting part. So everyone says, figure out your passion, find your passion. And I've kind of stepped one back and said, figure out your spark. The passion will come automatically. But once you discover your spark, you will be in your element, and you will then discover your passion, and you'll just be a different person altogether. So it's a really, really good place to be.
Figure out your spark, the passion will come automatically. And here's Dhru talking about how to discover that spark and what it feels like and what it does for us.
When you do certain things, right? Certain activities, you're naturally drawn to them. You're attracted to them. You have an affinity. Time flies. You kind of don't realize why you're doing it, and it just happens, right? And after doing that activity, you actually feel energized. Yes, you may be physically or mentally tired, but emotionally, spiritually, you just feel like, wow, I've done something. And you know this, right? There's certain things you do. No one needs to tell you to do them. They just happen. And there are certain activities where we sit down and go, do I really have to do this? You don't want to do it, you have to do it. And there's a difference. So it's these things you have a natural affinity to. So outside, but actually that's coming from within you, knowing who you are or working out what resonates with you. And the spark, I probably have been living my spark for about 15 years or whatever with the Tubules project, right? And every time I used to do it, and whether, I didn't have an income from it, and I used to put long hours, and I used to sleep 2 hours a night for it, people think you're mental if you're not getting any material gain from it. But actually, there was a huge spiritual, emotional just something I love doing. It was passionate, right? And so I sat there and thought, where is this spark coming from? And that's why I sat down. And I tell you what, the spark is basically what lights you up, what gives you that spiritual, emotional energy. It's just phenomenal because you do it naturally. You do it because you love it. You do it because you flow in it.
It lights you up. It gives you the spiritual, emotional energy. You do it naturally. You do it because you love to. You do it because you flow in it. And we will listen next to Cornell Thomas, who was featured on episode 104. Cornell is a thought leader, international speaker, entrepreneur, author, coach, on a mission to change the world, as he says, one book, one speech, one post at a time. Cornell used the phrase, your purpose is on the other side of your pain. Let's listen to him.
For me, when I tell people everything happens for a reason, patience is so key because I didn't know why I didn't grow up without a father until I had a son, right? Until I had a child, then I realized me not growing up without a father makes me appreciate this job of fatherhood so much more. Me not being a professional basketball player allowed me to have my family. It allowed me to eventually find this, purpose of speaking and sharing my story and connecting with people. So there's thousands of people, including my family, that wouldn't be here in my life if I went to play professional basketball. And when you're in the storm, it's very hard to see that because you can't see what's in front of your face. All you see is blurred vision. I can't believe this is happening. You're so angry.
Maybe you can relate to this yourself. I've spoken to many people who had similar realizations. One other thing we discussed with Cornell was this notion some people have about purpose, that it has to be making a mark in the world or leaving a legacy or these grandiose visions, when it's really not about that at all.
I think that's what takes people away from trying to find their purpose, is they think that it has to be some grandiose mission, right? Where you're saving Earth. And that's not the case at all. That's not the case. Your purpose, my mom's purpose, I asked her, years back, I said, Mom, what did you want to be? What did you dream of? And she said, my only purpose was to make sure that my kids were fed and raised the right way, and had a roof over their head. And I think you think about that, my mom's purpose to some people would be a micro purpose, right? She's just worrying about her house. But by her fulfilling her purpose, I can fill mine, which is a macro purpose, which is helping the planet, as many people as I can. So without my mom's purpose, my purpose means nothing because I'm not here, right? So understanding that everybody's purpose is important. Everybody's a cog in the wheel. Everybody. You take one cog out and the world changes, right? So that's the one thing I always tell people is you see these commercials sometimes where, the kid that got kicked out of the store that, tried to steal medicine that couldn't, eventually he's the one that, saves the store owner's life that gives him the medicine, right? It's all of it. All of it flows together. It all ties in together. So I just implore people to realize that you're here for a reason. There's a reason you were created. And if you can just get that in your head every single day, life is not going to be as hard as we tend to make it.
Everything happens for a reason. And we will also listen to Sarah Watts, who was featured on episode 125. Sarah is a transformational life and leadership coach, passionate about helping people connect with their joyful mind and create a joyful life. And in this next part, she speaks about how people feel when they are at the crossroads and they're not sure if they are following their passion or if they've lost their spark.
And it was in that moment where I asked myself that question, Because for me, HR had been my passion for a long time. I'd spent 20 years in HR roles in organizations. And I still feel very passionately about organizational culture and leadership, creating the right environment. I still feel very passionate about that. But I had realized that, do I really have this spark now? And is it time for a change?
Sarah also talked about how sometimes the wake-up calls in our life make us reassess our priorities and move us towards our path, our purpose.
And sometimes it takes a wake-up call for us to really stop and reflect and evaluate that. I think the pandemic, for example, has been that wake-up call for some people. Yes, we've all been in massive change for the last year, but it's also made people go, is this really what I want to do? Is there something more? Is there more to life than this? Can I find more happiness doing something else? And I would encourage anyone to explore that if they're having those thoughts. Why not give yourself that, right? You get one go at this life. So why not make it count,
You get one go at this life, so why not make it count indeed? I hope you found something valuable among these parts of the conversations, and also something actionable, something you can implement yourself. If you enjoyed this episode, I certainly intend to do more of them to condense the wisdom contained in these conversations and distill it in a way into actionable items that you can pick up and implement in order to change and grow and improve your life. But I would like your help. Tell me, what is your biggest challenge? What kind of content would you like to hear? Go to personaldevelopmentmasterypodcast.com and send me a message. And a quick question before I go. Have you ever thought of having your own podcast, sharing your voice, making an impact, but you don't have the time or the computer skills to learn how to create and launch a podcast? If that resonates, then I have a solution for you. A solution that takes away all the complexity and allows you to concentrate only on creating your content. Go to my website, agikeramidas.com, and get your free copy of my guide on how to create and launch your podcast in 7 simple steps. And until next time, stand out, don't fit in.